All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is for my PR peeps, my TI Inspire peeps needing some help with doing quadratic regression on the calc, the TI Inspire specifically. We're going to look at example number 3. Here it's talking about a shot putter. He's throwing a ball in an inclination of 45 degrees to the horizontal. So again, what comes up must come down. It's going to create probably a parabola for y'all. It says the following data represents the height of the ball h in feet at the instant that it traveled x feet horizontally. Okay. Now, sometimes they don't blatantly tell you that this is x and this is your y value. So sometimes we need to look for keywords, though. They might say that this is your independent variable and this is your dependent. So just be aware of those keywords. Independent is your input. That's your x value. And then your output is your dependent variable. So part A says use a graphing utility to draw a scatter diagram. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is start on a new document. Okay, we're going to go down to lists and spreadsheet. And I'm going to go up to A and I'm going to mark that guy with an X. And I'm going to go up to B and I'll mark that guy with a Y. Okay, so now I have my names of those stored. So now I'm going to go through and go ahead and type in my numbers. So real quick, you got 20, 40, 60, 80, a hundo, 120, 140, 160, 180, and 2 hundo. And then we're going to do our Y values. So I got 25, I got 40, 55, 65, 71, 77, 77 again. Then it starts coming down, 75, 71, and 64. Okay. Now, again, the Lord has blessed me with some fat fingers, so I always like to double check. Get it so you can see this a little better. I like to double check my values here, so 264 and so on. And those look pretty good. Okay. Now, off on the third column, this is where I go to menu. I'm going to go statistics. And I want stat calculations. And then we don't want number 3 this time. We want number 6. We want quadratic regression. Okay, so go ahead and press enter. And your X list is your X's. And then your Y list, I'm using my directional pad off to my Y's. Don't worry about those little tick marks there for in front of X and Y. You just need that. And then we're going to save the regression equation to F1. And then we're going to go all the way down and get enter. Okay. So they're going to give us A, B, and C. That's A is the number in front of our X squared. B is the number in front of X. And then C's are constant. And then, part A is use your graph utility to draw this thing. We'll do that here in the next step. And then find the quadratic function of best fit is part B. Well, that's what we just found. Okay. And in terms of Y and X, I'm going to use H of X. So that's our height in terms of X. And we had A was negative 0.0037, and that's X squared. And then we had plus 1.0318X. I'm just going to 4 decimal places. And then plus our constant, which was 5.6667. Okay, so again, looking at these values, that's where I'm getting A, B, and C right there. Okay. Now I'm going to go Control Doc is going to add another page. I'm going to go to graphs, and now I want to graph this thing. So we're going to add a graph. And I want to change my graph entry. So I'm going to press menu, I'm going to go to number 3, graph entry, and now we've been doing a scatter plot. So I want to go down. For me, it's number 6, scatter plot. You got to tell what your x's are. So this is where I press vars. So var, and I got my x's all the way down. And then for my y's, press vars again. Go for your y's that way. And then press enter, and we should be able to graph it. Now, a lot of times you graph and you're like, well, I don't see anything. Well, we have a pretty standard window right now. So this is where I'd want to change my window. You can change your zooms. You can change your settings. For me, I can see my numbers pretty easily. I'm going to go to my settings, and I'm going to make my X-Men 0, and my X-max looks like we get up to, 200? So let's go, I don't know, let's say 300. I'll go 400. And my Y's, it looks like it maxes out at 77. So I'm going to start my Y's at 0. I'm going to go up to 100. And then just see what do we get. If we need to change something, we will. So there's my nice, pretty graph. Okay. And just a little rough sketch of what this thing looks like, quiz or test. Here again, we have our distance horizontally. And then over here, we have our height. And I just see a few dots here. And that's a nice looking scatter plot. Okay. We've already done step B here with our calculator. Now we can start answering the questions. It says use the function found in part B to determine how far the ball will travel before it reaches its maximum height. Okay, so again, visually, this is what I'm thinking. We know that this thing's a parabola. Okay, we want to find the max of this guy. So we want to find that max. Okay, well, that means I need to graph that quadratic regression. So this is where I press menu. I want to go back to number 3 and change this back to function. So number 1. And then I want to go back up to F1 where I stored it, press enter, and now it should graph my pretty graph. Okay. Well, we want to find the max, and a lot of times we can do that by going to menu and trace. So graph trace. And then I'm just going to move my cursor until it tells me what the maximum is. And then this time they did not tell me what the maximum is. So that didn't work. So another option, if that doesn't work, we go over to analyze graph, and then we do our maximum. And I'm going to go for my left bound here. Press enter. And then we want to find the max. So we have the max right there. I got 1.39 when I take a look at that. So 1.39. And then it has 77.4. Okay. So there we go. You guys can see that. Okay. So if they're asking me what my X value is, I would have 139. I think it's approx, and that'd be in feet. I think if you're looking at the value in terms of a decimal, a little bit more, I think I had 138.98 feet. Okay. So that's pretty stinking close right there if I round up. Part D says use the function in part B to find the maximum height. Well, that's again our Y value. Okay, so if I look at my Y value, we had 77.4 feet. Okay, from our graph. So that's it, guys. So a little refresher on how to do quadratic regression. We did linear regression earlier in chapter 3.2, and now we've done our quadratic regression. Pretty similar overall. If you guys have any questions, I'll be back in the next couple days. See you, gang. Have a great day. One other thing I want to show you guys before we leave for today, Again, I'm starting to know this calculator a little bit more. Some other things that you guys can do is if you're struggling with the decimals here, here's an idea. So number one, menu, you can go to your settings, and then you can display digits, and you can switch that to auto. So you can go up there and then change that. I just have it on auto now. I had it on like a float, and it was kind of floating to a few digits. It wasn't showing me everything. So I saw a few people in class were having that issue. So you can try that. And now if I want to find my minimum, I can trace that out, graph trace. And as I go through, this tells me I'm on the blue dots. If I press up, and now I'm on F1, now it should show, there it is. There's the maximum. So those are some of those numbers that I was getting earlier. I think I had 138.98 and then 77.4. Okay, so that should help you guys out. Hopefully it helps. You guys have a great day.